Hey everyone, welcome to Conversations with Zarine. This month's topic is all about low impact living, and I am so excited to share with you the modern guide to low impact living. So let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to Conversations with Zarine. During the next 45 minutes, you are invited to listen to leading wellness experts, influencers, brand builders, and entrepreneurs who will help you lead with light, build with love, and grow with gratitude. Their secret hacks that make life a better experience for us will be reconnoitered and brought to you by your host, who is a certified holistic health coach, a registered yoga teacher from the Yoga Alliance US, mother of three, and a passionate DoTERRA wellness advocate. Her calling to help people and the community made her leave a 15-year engineering career and embrace the path of giving by creating wellness entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Zarine Bharda.
Hey everyone, this is Zarine. Welcome to today's podcast on Conversations with Zarine. Here today with us, we have the dynamic duo Reshma and Praagna Prasad. These two ladies are the perfect fit for today's conversation, the modern guide to low-impact living. Currently, both of them are pursuing engineering in computer sciences and electronics. Praagna and Reshma have been best friends for over 10 years now. They have always wanted to start a venture of some sorts together, and coincidentally, both found themselves curious and inclined towards a sustainable movement that led them to co-creating The Last Straw. The Last Straw is a digital social responsibility initiative that aims towards providing the most affordable and accessible low-waste alternatives. Even though their journey has just begun, they want to document their struggles, opinions, and experiences so that anyone who's starting out is not intimidated by the extremity of a zero-waste lifestyle. So, Reshma, Praagna, thank you both for joining me today on Conversations with Zarine.
Hi, thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. So, can you explain to the listeners a bit more about the concept behind The Last Straw?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we were really inclined this low waste living and sustainability, and we wanted to make a difference in our lives. We wanted to reduce the amount of waste that goes outside our house, and basically, we just wanted to make a change. And when we got into this field, when we looked at people who were already doing this, we were in the beginning we were all kind of shocked because there were so many big companies which were selling products at really high price ranges, and we just wanted something that's more affordable. We wanted to look at more local businesses that did something very similar, like sold some sustainable products or had a similar idea, but we wanted it to be more accessible and more affordable. So that's when our journey started.
A funny story about how I came up with the idea was that we were actually watching this completely unrelated show to sustainability, this show called The Politician. It's on Netflix. And even though it's not on sustainability, the whole show is about Gen Z, and their biggest crisis is climate control. So I think looking at that, we were already having that inclination towards exploring this field and just seeing, because, again, we were in the pandemic and things are different and your priorities change. So we were looking into the space, and then we happened to watch this, binge this show. And I think the takeaway from that show was so strong for us that we were like, hey, we should try to be more sustainable, and then let's just try and document it so that, we are held accountable to ourselves, and we find and as she said, we wanted to find affordable switches and alternatives so a lot more people can do it.
Yeah, we wanted to reach out to more people, especially people our age and people in a really similar lifestyle like our students, so that they could have something that they could follow or find other places through us.
Yeah.
So I guess from that, how can people find you?
So you can find us on our Instagram, the Last Straw blog, and we also run a website, thelaststraw.co.org.in. You can find us there.
Very cool. So I've actually taken a look at both your guys' Instagram handles as well as the blog, and I absolutely love the blog and the content that you guys put out there because it's very mindful content. And as you'd mentioned, you guys are trying to target more of your age group because I think between us, there's probably a 10 to 15 year age gap. But at the same time, I think a lot of it still applies because even though there might be that age gap, I think whether you're younger as a student, you're living with your parents or you're living with other roommates. So their lifestyles also affect yours, and how much you can actually impact yours is also slightly dependent on theirs. And then as you get older, you may be living independently, or you might be living in a joint family with in-laws and brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws. So that's where, what are some of the issues that you may have faced across your journey to try to lead a sustainable lifestyle, and any tips that you might have for any of our listeners?
Yeah, in the beginning, like when I started, the first thing that so basically we finished watching the show, The Politician, and they were talking about how much waste we generate. And they introduced us to the concept of like, here you basically just produce a jar of waste. So like going from, not looking at that, not being conscious about that, to like thinking about just producing waste that fits in a jar, it's so overwhelming and intimidating. So as soon as I saw that, the only thing that first struck me was the amount of products in my house that came in plastic packaging, like especially like shampoos and conditioners. And I have really like frizzy hair, and I need a lot of products to keep it in place. So the first thing, and that's like still till today, it's like a really big struggle for me because not all products work for me, and most of that work do actually come in plastic packaging. And even if I want to make the switch to a sustainable brand that does the same thing, has a good quality product that works well, I cannot throw everything that I have right now. I need to like finish completely use it up as much as I can, and then probably make the switch and see where it goes.
For me, I feel my biggest struggle would be just the idea of sustainability. I think, it's founded on the basis of minimalism. And I think I've grown up in a very capitalism kind of economy where it's like, you got to make more, you got to have more, that kind of mindset. And I've always felt that I need more. And of course, because of the pandemic, I have kind of like taken a step back. But I think one of the biggest changes, and still something I struggle with, is recognizing if I really need something, because a large part of sustainability is trying to, reduce your intake. Like if you reduce what you buy, then you don't have to reuse or recycle it.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where I know, even with myself, like if I am online shopping, because during the pandemic, online shopping is becoming so prevalent.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I do is I'll usually put it in the cart, and then I'll go back like a day or two later, and I'm like, do I really need it?
Yeah, I should try that.
And if not, it'll be like, save for later.
Yeah.
And then my husband shares like the same account with me. So he'll be like, Zarine, I don't think you need that. Let's just delete it. But with like the sustainability, I know with like some of the other influencers, what I've seen is that they have basically pushed it back to them saying, we want to see you guys do less packaging. We want to see more economical packaging. It might not be completely zero waste, but I know where a lot of the brands now are maybe starting to become more aware of this, maybe because the consumers are also pushing back on it, where instead of putting in like an extra piece of paper or an extra piece of plastic in it, they'll put like the instructions on the inside lid of a box. So that way it's like something that they're saving in a certain aspect, where in the end, it's also cost savings for them. But at the same time, their footprint is becoming lesser and lesser on our global environment. So are there ways that we can also push back to these larger companies, or to even some of the smaller companies, like any of our local stores, to say, we would like you to become at least more mindful of the waste that you're putting out there, to try to push your consumers to bring in their own bags, bring in your own bottles for refills?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do to kind of push that out there on a more global basis?
So I think a few years ago, Karnataka government, we're from Bangalore, they banned plastic bags. I mean, it's still prevalent, but I think that was really important, at least for me, because I was still growing up when this law came out, and I could literally see the switch happen. So a lot of the small vendors, they did stop using, and it actually encouraged a lot of people to carry their own bags. And that is one thing you can really do if you're shopping locally. Being in India, you have access to, your fruit vendors, sellers, all of them coming near your house. And I think that's something that's very simple. It isn't, as I say, it's not inconvenient or out of the way where it doesn't disrupt your natural spending habits. So it's something you can always do. You can always carry your own bag, reuse all the plastic bags that you get. And of course, when you talk about packaging, a lot of the times makeup that isn't in glass or isn't, it's not like easily broken, they're in bubble wrap. That can definitely be avoided by a lot of the large companies. They can use paper to stuff in. And, of course, cardboard is sustainable. But instead of bubble wrap, you can always put paper, because the amount of bubble wrap that I have personally received from packages is insane. Like, it's just, for a small item, it'll be like 5 layers of bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That I've definitely seen that.
Yeah, I think also when you talk about things that people can do, I think if you are someone who's not completely into the movement, as in you don't want to, you aren't, you have responsibilities and you completely don't want to be zero waste, but you still want to make an impact. I think that, the most basic steps, like reusing your plastic bags, carrying your own bag, and then, just refusing plastic straws. And even something like, if there are 3 people in your family, you can all, and if you want to order takeout, you all can order, from the same restaurant. So they don't have to send you, 3, 4 single-use packages. Instead, they can put it in 1 or 2 or whatever you order. Like, if you order together, you're even going to cut down on the packaging they send. And that's obviously, that isn't that big a difference in terms of price or, habitual difference, but all of this makes a difference in the end. Like, it does have a positive impact.
Yeah, if every single
Yes.
household is doing, then at a larger scale, then it's a huge impact.
Yeah,
Definitely. And then I guess I've seen one of your blog posts on zero waste and how you don't think it is sustainable. And I personally also don't think it's sustainable for the majority of people. Yes, there may be a few that may be able to actually sustain it, but what are your thoughts on zero waste, and how can we at least try as either students or adults to try to at least lead some sort of sustainable lifestyle?
If zero waste is sustainable or not, we honestly think that it depends on the person that you're asking. Like, for us, we already said we live with our parents, and maybe later when we're studying, we'll be living with, roommates. And in those cases, zero waste is, for us, maybe not sustainable. But then in the future, it can always be sustainable. We could always accommodate it. Like, we could start off slow and always reach our goal of being zero waste, which is what we want at the end of the day. But for right now, for you wanting to start out, I don't know, we couldn't expect anyone who's starting out to go completely zero waste. So we would say take it slow, make small changes, as Praagna said, just refuse plastic bags, and reuse the ones that you already have as much as possible, so that you're making some kind of difference. And then as you go on and as you learn and you reach more accessible options, and like through our blog, you can find so many recommendations that we put out. Then maybe at the end of the day, you could also reach your zero waste goal. So these are just stepping stones.
Yeah, and you can also you can shop locally. I think that it really does make a difference rather than all. And I guess now, because of the pandemic, people are scared of and of the safety measures and stuff. But usually in general in India, it's very easy to shop locally, like good produce locally.
Yeah, and I think that's usually where some of the best comes from, is if you are shopping local. And that's where I think with Bangalore, how are you finding it with? Because I've also seen you guys have put out resources for Goodwill shops, basically where either clothes are being recycled or reused. Do you have a list of resources that you can share with the listeners on different areas that they can go to? Because I know I found like in India, there's sometimes a stigma for using secondhand clothes, but I know like abroad and stuff,
Yeah.
everyone goes to the thrift shop. It's so much more cost effective, as well as you get to change your outfits as often as you like and recycle things, as well as let other people use them and earn money for it or save money on your spending for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of Instagram thrift shops that have come up, and we've done a post about it like long time ago during summer that we've recommended close to 10 thrift shops, and we haven't tried a lot more than that for us to recommend, but there are a lot of shops that's coming out. And even if you don't want to thrift, as you said, there's a lot of stigma, but in India we feel that hand me downs is very common. I grew up on my sister's toys, my sister's clothes, my cousin's clothes, my aunt's. It's a thing. Like just yesterday, my aunt bought something, it didn't fit her, so she just bought it down to me. And even within my friends, if we want to go out and like I don't have clothes, I would just borrow from them or they would borrow from me. And these are things that, you could do instead of just going out and buying all the time. And even if you are someone who is skeptical about thrifting, you can always look out or ask your friends, or if you want to like get rid of all the clothes that you have, you can donate it or you can give it to your friends, instead of thrifting, because a lot of people I know aren't comfortable with thrifting, but a lot of people do. I know a lot of people who do thrift. So it is, as you said, it's pretty divided.
Yeah, and there are also like stores that upcycle clothing. Like you could give them, and if it's not something that you think people would wear, then they like upcycle it into something that looks more pretty, or maybe, and then they, put it across to many more people. So there are many channels for you to like explore if you want to use like hand-me-downs or thrift, or you want to upcycle. And a lot of them are online, so it's pretty convenient.
And even your local tailors, a lot of us, we get our like lehengas or like saris and blouses done from our local tailors, getting materials from stores. And so that's also a sustainable method. It's something that we've been practicing for years without realizing that it is actually sustainable rather than buying from a fast fashion brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of where it's also one person's garbage might be another person's treasure.
Yeah.
So even I know like even with their other workers, or I'm sure there are always like local children and stuff that would always appreciate whether they be donations or just kind of giving them the clothing and them being able to be creative and create something out of it themselves. Like even if it's making a blanket out of old t-shirts, there are always so many different creative ways to upcycle whatever you have currently in your life.
Yeah,
that's true.
What is the one sustainable switch that you guys have struggled with since you began this journey?
I guess, yeah, and as I said, like these packagings, like shampoos and other beauty products that come in plastic packaging, that's a hard thing to find an option for, because I want to finish everything that I already have before buying something that doesn't come in plastic packaging. And there's also like, so maybe like beginning of the year, my mom went ahead and bought like a packet of straws without telling me, and like I had no idea about it. And when I saw that, my heart broke. I was like, no, you can't do this. And yeah, so I got metal straws, and I told them, okay, fine, you bought it, we can't do anything. So use it as much as you can before, just don't use it and throw it. Maybe like wash and reuse it. And yeah, use it to its full extent.
Yeah, and I think that's such a big thing, because I know like even growing up, even though we were in Canada, milk used to come in like they used to have like milk pouches into like a larger bag. And I know people that are probably born in the same generation as me will know this, but like we used to actually like wash those and recycle those. And like even if we use like Ziploc bags or things, we'll always like wash them and reuse them pretty much until they might have a hole in them, and then maybe do something else creative with it or give it to the kids to do something with. And that's where, even though something might say it's like a single use, I'm sure you can get so much more than a single use out of it. So that's where it's like always try to be mindful of whatever you have, even if it might be a single use, try to use it a few times, like how you told your parents as well, to basically use it as many times as they can, because that's all that it takes, is just someone recommending something to someone else to be better for the society and better for the environment. This is where making those small impacts starts getting into that snowball effect, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and people start realizing and understanding that, okay, I can make a change just by something small that I did today. So based on that, I guess, what is your hope that people take away from this movement and the website, the blog that you guys have, as well as the impact that you're trying to create?
I think we want more people. I know there are a lot of people like us who, they don't want to litter the place. They want to find solutions that are to everyday problems of waste generation. And I know that there are a lot of people who are doing it, a lot of Instagram accounts that are coming up right now, they're doing it. And like, I'm very glad that a lot of people are talking about it now, more so than it was maybe even a year ago or 2-3 years ago. But we hope that a lot of people join this movement, and we ourselves, we want to be more sustainable than we are today. And of course, we want to see where we can take this venture forward and impact positively.
And then, do you guys have any plans for the last straw coming up in the next year or 2 years to expand your reach, maybe even past Bangalore?
Yeah, we really look forward to doing a lot of collaborations with other people who have the same interest as us, and we want to reach out to people who live everywhere, not only India, maybe anywhere, because something like our blog can be accessed from anywhere. So we really hope, more people can see that and learn, and I don't know, just like, because we are not completely zero waste and we're just starting out, we want more people to look at our blog and our journey and be like, hey, it's really possible. Like, I don't have to make a huge change. Like, I could start out like them, something small, and then maybe, that goes.
We want to see, small acts of environmentalism normalized, because we see the whole jar movement, right? The mason jar. Like, you have people like Lauren Singer who, when I was initially starting out after watching the show and like we were inspired, she was like someone who's, almost on the cover page of this zero waste movement. And I was watching a lot of her videos, and it was very inspiring. But also, I understand that she lives in Brooklyn and she has access to these stores and these brands. And as you said, like, thrifting there is a lot more easier, and it's a whole other market than it is in India. So yeah, we're not bound by the same resources. And of course, she lives alone, and we don't, and a lot of people don't. We want people to be like, even if I refuse a plastic straw today, it is a positive impact. We want people to recognize even the small efforts that they do, and not just celebrate the big moments. Because a lot of it, as we have started it, we've both found ourselves feeling very guilty each time we aren't being completely sustainable within our knowledge. Sometimes you do live with that guilt. So we want to make sure that it is normalized to even just refuse a straw or just do something very small, and that also should be appreciated, because we need a lot more people doing small things and a lot of select few doing completely zero waste.
Absolutely. That's so true. And that's where I think you guys are so relatable, because a lot of people get sometimes so overwhelmed with zero waste that starting small and just doing small things eventually gradually grows to be something bigger. And that's where people coming along this journey with you, they're not just seeing the end result of what you're going to be doing in 5 or 10 years. So that's where it's going to be amazing. So any of you guys, as you mentioned, if you guys are wanting to take a picture of anything that you guys are doing to better yourselves or be better for the environment, I want you guys to hashtag the Last Straw blog. They're on Instagram. Go check them out. Definitely follow them. And if you guys have any special hashtags that you guys have that you'd like any of the listeners to put up, if they're coming up with any pictures or any images on things that they're doing in their life, go ahead and let us know.
You can just tag us and maybe put like a hashtag sustainable switch. We have a really plan to launch some kind of a campaign where everyone can come together and make a difference and join us in our journey. So that's also a plan for the next year. Yeah. You can just tag us for now.
Awesome. So thank you both for joining.
Thank you, Zarine, for having us. You've been really kind.
You're welcome. So hopefully we will bring you guys on again sometime in the future, and we'll be able to see what you
Sure.
guys are doing in the next year or so. But as you'd mentioned, if any of the listeners are out there, if any of them are wanting to collaborate with you in the future, we will link all of their information below. But Reshma, Praagna, if you guys want to go ahead and repeat one more time where people can find you and how they can follow you.
We are on Instagram at The Last Straw blog, and we also have a website, www.thelaststraw.org.in.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to Conversations with Zarine. For show notes, episode guides, and resources, drop in at www.lifebyzarine.com. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest under Life by Zarine. Thank you and have a wonderful time.